celebration, I might have a toast with you. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great, I'm terrific. We ain't taking no losses, we winning. Undefeated, check the percentage.
Yo, what's good, everybody, man? Appreciate everybody in the building, man. We got Dustin Baker in the building tonight, man. So the word is you're like the king of Vikings Twitter, right? That's the title. You should hold that. You should hold that.
That's what some people say. I don't use the title.
Hey, man, I'll be riding with that thing, man. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm the king. Hey, but I appreciate you, tapping in tonight with me. We got a bunch of people that's probably gonna want to ask some questions, man. I know you do we gotta let we call my crew over here. It's either Triple P family, Purple Gang, but next year when you do your your little award ceremony, man, we gotta be on that list now. I think we're gonna make it to the stage now. You know what I'm saying?
All right, yeah, that'll be December. That'll be the 4th annual awards. So I'll keep the list. I'll keep you on the list.
I know that's right, man. But man, how you feeling tonight, though, Dustin? Man, you feeling good?
Yeah, not bad at all. Where I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is 4 hours away from Minneapolis, and tomorrow is like the first nice day in the beginning of the nice days to come, and winter is finally over. We get some sunshine and some 60-degree weather. I get to take my car out and stuff. It'll be fun.
There you go, man. So it snows a lot. It snows a lot there, huh? Just like kind of like Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly like it, if not more. And yeah it's been vicious this December, January, and February. But now it's time for spring, and the draft is 3 weeks away. Exactly. And so this is what I've been thinking about for, since free agency kind of started to peter out, is in how the puzzle comes together. And the draft is the ultimate reality TV event for football, because there's no sport being played on those 3 days, but it's still just as exciting as a football game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get to some questions about that draft too, man. We got 17 people in the building. Y'all make sure to hit that like button, man. Real quick, Dustin, let me just shout out everybody in the building, man. We got Bob in the building. Appreciate you, Bob. We got Skull World in the building, man. Appreciate you. My Worthless Opinion. Appreciate you tapping in. And listen, everybody, I'm sure y'all already know Dustin Baker for sure. You should. And if you don't, then you need to learn tonight and go subscribe to his channel. It's in the title. So Vikes Now. Make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel as well. Skull Mafia, my Skull bro, appreciate you, man. Ryan, what's up? Appreciate you in the building. Roger, appreciate you coming back. All right, you kept your word. Appreciate it. All right, we got I think that's it. Dylan, what's up, Dylan? James in the building. What's up, James? Appreciate you. We got Day in the building. Appreciate you, Day. Appreciate it, man. We're gonna get to this. Sarah, what's good, Sarah? Amir in the building. Appreciate you, Amir. You already know I rock with your name. I done told you why. You know what I'm saying? That's my daughter's middle name. So appreciate y'all. All right, let's get to it. So, man, I gotta ask one question, Dustin, man. This is because my page is we're getting the wrap of, Triple P is the page of the Kirk hating page. Because like my family over here, you'll notice that we're not big Kirk fans. You feel me? We're just not. And I want to ask you, I want to get this out the way now before we even get into the draft and all that. Like, what is your feeling all around about Kirk Cousins? Like, how do you feel about Kirk Cousins? I need to know.
Sure. I have him solidly in the same category as Derek Carr and Matthew Stafford, where that they're damn good quarterbacks and you enjoy having them on your team. But where I've settled on Kirk is we've done 5 years now, and that is a prolonged sample size on what he brings to the table. And I'm grateful for it. I think he's been quite good. But he's also going to be 35 years old. And we tend to think that because Brady played till 45 or Rodgers won MVPs at 37 and 38, that all these guys just play now until they're older. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they hit a wall. So I think that the Vikings have to prepare for the next guy while they still have the current guy in the house for 1 year. So I have been supremely appreciative of what Cousins has brought to the franchise, the stability at quarterback. Because when I was a kid, we just went through them like old veterans, the old 34-year-old guy. Hopefully he's got one season left in the tank. So I'm very grateful what Cousins has brought everything to the Vikings. But I think with the new regime, it's time to examine the exit ramp. And you'll hear a lot of my takes tonight are about whoever that next guy will be, because I firmly believe it's time to start planning for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my thing is this, like Dustin, last season, like I just feel like a lot of things happen that usually don't happen. Like I think most Vikings fans can sit back and say, listen, winning 13 games, and it's like, it's good. We won 13 games. A win is a win. And then in the middle of the season, I was talking my smack to other teams saying, I don't care, a win is a win. Like you can call it what you want when everybody was calling us flukes and stuff. I didn't want to hear it. But as the season was over and we got to really digest it and really look at it from up above, it was like, yo, we did get a lot of lucky breaks, and I don't see that happening again. And I gotta wonder, like, what do you think the reason is that they didn't extend Kirk again? Do you believe that Kwesi's just that guy that's like, listen, I rather not tied to him because he could possibly hit his wall this year right here, and we don't want to be tied to this guy due to the age, like you said,
Yeah, I think that so we have this debate every offseason dating back to about 2019, the second year, maybe 2020 when it really became real, is whether or not the guy is worth it at all in the first place. And at the time, 28 million, and then kind of graduated to 35 million. We always debated this, whether or not he was the guy. But the new element, I swear to God, is age. Because last year at this time, he was 34, and usually dudes don't just hit a wall at 34, but there is precedent for it at 35 and 36. So I absolutely believe that Kwesi does not want to be hamstrung by an extra year of Kirk. Because let's face it, there's a very real possibility that we're sitting here on this show a year from tonight, and we're like, God, Vikings lost in the divisional round. That stunk. And we're doing the same thing over and over. So I think you can't really go wrong the way that Kwesi has done it this offseason, because Cousins, barring a weird trade here, he's going to be the quarterback in 2023. But then that's it. And if it's the same stuff, whether it's 9-8 or 13-4 with the first round exit, you can say we are done. You can go play for the 49ers, sir, because I can almost guarantee you that's where he's going to go if he hits free agency as the 49ers, where he'll probably win a Super Bowl, which is very weird. But no, I think that they want flexibility, and the new regime in almost any realm of sport usually wants to come in and do things their way, and I'm not convinced that Cousins forever is their way.
Facts, man. Hey, I knew Dustin was one of us, y'all, man. We got 26 people in the building, man. Y'all make sure that like button on the way. And I knew Dustin was one of us. See, he one of us, y'all. I told you. That's why I'm glad he on the show, man. Let's give Dustin a round of applause for that take there, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look. Hey, I'm gonna put it like this. We ain't gonna beat Kirk to death tonight. We're gonna move on because we got other things we definitely need to touch on. But yeah, I feel the same way, and most people in my family over here feel the same way about that too. We're ready to move on now. Going into the draft, like just so we can move kind of off the quarterback situation though, like what, like, is there any, I'll just ask a simple question and you could just say yes or no at this moment. Is there any quarterback in this year's draft that you would say, you know what, I'm going to trade the farm for it, or I'm going to do whatever we got to do to move up?
Yeah, CJ Stroud. It's not really realistic for the Vikings purposes because you'll probably have to get into the top one. But if something funky happens where he gets to 3, the Cardinals don't need a quarterback. They just paid Kyler 5 years, 200 and something million.
Absolutely.
And unless they get really weird, they don't need him. So I would say my sure thing, if that counts, is if somehow Stroud fell to number 3, I would not be mad if they traded, 3 firsts to get up to the Cardinal spot and get him. Otherwise, really is just lottery tickets, because you got to hope that Anthony Richardson is more than just a physical freak. You got to hope Will Levis isn't a weirdo like he's being painted out to be. And then the Hendon Hooker stuff, I just can't swallow in the first round because the guy is so old. If they want to do it in the 3rd round, great. But I can't. I've yet to warm up on first round value on Hooker.
Facts. Shout out Skull World in the building, man. I see you, Skull World. I see you, Timmy. Appreciate you, Timmy. Purple Gang. I see you. We got 2 Evil in the building, man. 2 Evil with the $10 super chat. Hold up. He said, hi, rapping. What? Hold up, man. You can't be talking about the boy Dustin like that when he in our house, man. Don't do that. Or is that your nickname? Dust Nuts? Is that, or I don't know what the hell that's about.
No, but it can't be now.
He said, I hope you and Hendon Hooker, I hope you are that Hendon should not be picked by us in the 1st round. Also, what do you think about mortgage in the future and next year's draft for Caleb Williams? Yeah, so we'll let you answer that, Dustin. Like, how do you feel about Caleb Williams? Have you even looked into next year? Honestly, are you even looking that far ahead?
Yes, I have to. I do this as a job now, all the Vikings writing. And so it's, I have to have that on the horizon. But that one's going to be even more expensive than Stroud. So we already know with Cousins as the quarterback, like the bottom floor for his teams are going to be about 8-9. If things go poorly, the Vikings will be 8-9. And that puts you right in about the 13th overall pick.
Right.
To get Williams, first of all, there's going to be a mad dash for anybody to try to trade up to 1. So we're talking, we thought 3 first rounders is expensive. We're probably talking 4 or 3 in multiple seconds. Of course, I would be on board with Williams. He looks right now, a lot of stuff can happen in 11 months, 12 months. He looks like the Trevor Lawrence sure thing or Andrew Luck sure thing. So, yeah, I would love for them to find a way to get him. But I don't think the Vikings are – maybe some of your viewers think the Vikings are going to suck this year. I do not think that.
Yeah,
and so I don't think that – I don't think that they're going to be able to just waltz into the conversation with the 5th overall pick, and then we just only need to trade a couple other things. He'd be awesome, but I don't think it's realistic right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sorry, Dustin, what do you write for? What is it? Is it Vikings territory? What is it?
Yeah, VikingsTerritory.com. Excuse me. I'm the editor there. And yeah, we write stuff all damn day about the Vikings at every possible angle of the team.
There you go. Covered. So y'all make sure y'all tap in, Purple family. If y'all ain't tapped in with Dustin over there, Vikings territory, tap in. You know what I'm saying? You got to do that. Show him love. You already know that over there. Let's see if we got some more questions real quick before we move on. Let's see. We can wait till next year. Hey, appreciate you, Yogi, in the building, man. Shout out Yogi in the building, man. Let's see, Davey. Lance is only 23 and he's got room to improve. How do you feel about Lance, Dustin?
Yeah, he'd be younger than a lot of these guys that we're talking about.
That's what I was saying. That's weird, ain't it?
In this draft. Yeah. How would I feel? So the cool part about him, aside from the Minnesota connection, he could replace Thielen for the hometown vibes. Yeah. But he's going to be cheaper. He's going to be cheaper than he would have been at this time last year. So if it somehow involved a Cousins trade, it's almost a wash, and the Vikings might get more in addition to Lance because his stock is so low for the injuries. If that happened on draft night, if my phone buzzed and boom, we got Lance, I would certainly warm up to it. I just don't know that Kwesi would take a swing on a guy who's just been injured this whole time, especially as your QB1.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Hey, James, it's cool, man. I know, people got life going on, man. It's all right, man. Just make sure you tapping in. That's it. You know, we still love you over here. No worries. But so let's talk about something else now, man. As far as the holes that we have on this team, what do you expect from the Vikings? I know you write about them every day, so I'm sure you got some stuff on your mind where what direction realistically, I know most Vikings fans want a quarterback. I feel like all teams want quarterbacks that don't have a Patrick Mahomes or, everybody's always drooling over the quarterbacks every single year. But realistically, though, where do you see the Vikings going in this draft? What position or trade back? Just kind of give us your thoughts on the draft going in this year.
Sure. I would say it's a long shot right now that they would trade up for a quarterback like we've talked about for a few minutes. I think the only way they do that is if the guy that they have identified, whether that's Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, if that guy tumbles to about the Eagles spot at 10, then that becomes a little bit more affordable. I don't see them doing my Stroud plan. That's just my utopian.
That's your dream
right
over
now.
There.
I have the it is. He seems like the safest out of all of the group. Bryce Young, I do like too. It's just the 5'10" thing. I'm like, why can't we just have the total package if we're going to do this?
I know, right?
But yeah, so the quarterback thing, I can't dismiss it, nor will I be like, that ain't happening. But the more and more, the closer we get to the draft and you look down at the cornerback, the CB part of the depth chart, and it's got like 3 dudes on it who can maybe start, definitely Byron Murphy, but we hope on Booth and Evans. So the closer each day we get to the draft and no Shaquille Griffin or no Rock Ya-Sin have signed with the team, I'm thinking that it's an automatic wherever the Vikings pick that they will draft a cornerback or a hybrid like Brian Branch. You can do both because there's got to be some kind of plan. You can't just strut into a season claiming to be a playoff contender and you're like, yeah, we got Byron Murphy. That's all we need. You need a lot more than that. So my guess is I ultimately believe that Kwesi will trade down again once or twice before they even make a pick. And then I'm going to guess it's a cornerback and then a wide receiver because I haven't decided if they think KJ Osborne is the WR2 or not. So my my prognosis as we get closer to the date is a trade back and then a defensive back, probably a corner as the first pick.
Yeah, so James said he hope we take Cam Smith. I'm not too big on Cam Smith. I mean, I like him. He's okay. He's not my favorite one, but I mean, I obviously like Witherspoon, but I know he's gonna get taken way before
Yeah.
we get a chance to even sniff him. You know what I mean? But down in that area where we're at, though, I like the kid from Maryland. I think the kid from Maryland would be good, and I also like Brents. I like Julius Brents, but I know we can probably get him more in the third round, maybe if we get a second round, if we trade back. I mean, my thing is this, Dustin, man, this is how I feel, man. I'm not too big of a fan on the trading back stuff for me. Like, I just feel like when the Vikings usually stick and pick for the most part, man, they get good players, man. Like, if you just get the best player available, you know, and try to trade back and do all this extra stuff, it's like, yeah, you get more bodies, but the bodies wind up, the chances of them turning into something that we can throw out on the field and actually make an impact. To me, it just seems like it's low, man. And, you know, I'd rather get a good football player at 23.
Yeah.
That's just me. You know?
Yeah, we have the track record there. We got Darisaw at 23 after one trade back in the first round 2 years ago. And then, of course, Jefferson in 2020. But the only reason, I guess I should say that's what I'm predicting what's happened. I'm with you, sticking at 23 and picking the best guy there. I would be content with. I just think that because I think the value in this draft compared to others is really in between rounds 2 and 4. And we're so used to last year with Sauce Gardner and Kyle Hamilton being labeled as like the best of their position in year 1. I don't think that there are guys like that in this draft outside of Will Anderson and maybe Jalen Carter if he gets this stuff together. And that doesn't happen every draft where you just find a Sauce Gardner. And I think we're spoiled right now that we think, well, yeah, we'll just go draft the best cornerback and he'll be Sauce. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the Vikings believe that they can flip the picks for more lottery tickets in late round 1 through round 3, round 4. That's why I predicted. But no, I'm with you. If you staring at the board that has Jackson Smith and Jibo or even Bijan Robinson, I don't think you can go wrong by picking the best player available at 23.
Because I mean, last year is a prime example. Like, if you look at the players, like now that the season's over, and you look at who we passed up on. Now I know Lewisine could turn into the next, you know, the best safety in NFL history. We don't know that yet, right? But I mean, when you look at what Kyle Hamilton did, Chris Olave, I think, was on the board at our time because he got picked. What did he get? He got picked like 13 or something, maybe. I think, but there was definitely a couple players there that actually had really good seasons that made impacts. And I'm like, yo, we passed up on these people to trade back. Like, we could have had because I feel like Kyle Hamilton's a generational talent. And it's like, yo, if you wanted a safety, like, I mean, yeah, you ended up getting Booth and what, I guess Ingram out of that trade back. I think it was Booth and Ingram, or was it Booth and
Asamoah too?
Yeah, Asamoah too, which I love. I do love him. I think that's one player out of those players. I think he is probably going to be the best out of them. But, you know, to me, man, it's just like, but I still rather take that one player that we know for a fact is going to play at a high level all the time, like just get thrown right in the game and be able to make an impact, you know. And I just don't want Kwesi to be this guy that every year he's just trying to trade back and accumulate all these late picks, and then by the time the season starts, half of them barely make the team and all this crazy stuff, you know. Like, come on, man, get us some good football players, please.
If you remember last year, if we would have done the show together last year, it was almost unheard of that Kyle Hamilton would have slipped below the Commanders at number 11. So I remember hearing that as a theory, thinking like, yeah, that ain't happening. So when it did, I'm with you. I still look back and think, if you really wanted a safety, which you apparently did, why didn't you take the guaranteed safety and then figure the rest out on the fly? But that's, I mean, you can do that with almost any draft class in history. I think with Kwesi, it's not necessarily trading back just for shits and giggles. It's trading back into a spot that you think the money's at in the round 2 and 3. It's not like he's gonna do the Spielman thing and just get a bunch of 6th and 7th rounders. I think his mentality, along with Kevin O'Connell, is that we can really find guys who are just as good in round 2 as some of these dudes are going to be in round 1. Whether or not they're correct on that is a different story, but I think that's their mentality.
Yeah. And look, and I trust them though. You know, at the end of the day, like, it's only been 1 year. I look at their draft class from last year, and it's like, I mean, you can grade it how you want to grade it. I mean, Asamoah seems promising. I think Ed Ingram, like, I give him a little leeway because he was a rookie and he just got thrown in there, even though he had some good games, had some bad games, you know, and the stepping on Kirk's foot was kind of getting on my nerves, even though it only happened like 4 times or so, but it was still 4 times too much, you know. But yeah, I mean, if I had to judge it though, Booth injured, really ain't get a chance to go out there, seen injured, and I know injuries is kind of hard, but when I look at Booth, you knew that this guy had injury history since Pop Warner football. Like, he said out his own mouth, you know, like this is one of those things where how can you be surprised if this guy's gonna always be injured? You can't be surprised, you know. And yes, I hope he turns into somebody, but I'm out on Booth Jr. right now. No, I don't know how you feel about Booth Jr., but I'm kind of out on him already. Like, I feel like he's gonna be another Irv Smith Jr. for us, where for the next 3 years in the offseason, we're going to be saying, well, don't forget we got Andrew Booth and he's only played like 4 or 5 snaps. You know, I'm tired of that, man.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not out on him because
Right.
I realize that injuries happen and
Yeah.
it could just be that he's ready to go. But I think you will be vindicated if we get to about week 4 next year and we're like, oh, there goes Booth down for the year, baby. Then you will be right. I think he deserves a full off season and summer from us before we start throwing stones. And then Evans looked good, especially against the Commanders, and next week at the Bills. Asamoah certainly going to start unless they draft Trenton Simpson or Drew Sanders or Jack Campbell. And I'll always remind people that last year at this time, we thought Darisaw would be pretty good. And then it showed up to camp, and it was like, okay, we've got an all-pro type tackle on our hands. So that's a cautionary tale. Or even KJ Osborne. I remember laughing at people who thought his little June 2021 showing was a big deal. I was like, the guy didn't play at all last year. I really think he's going to be the WR3, and I'll be damned if he didn't end up doing it. So I will caution for everybody that if you just say this draft class sucks, I'm done with it, you're usually doing that a little bit too early. You got to give it usually 2, probably 3 years to see how these guys develop.
And I hope they turn into all pro. I hope all of them turn into all pros. I'm gonna keep it real. I always tell people, man, I'm a Vikings fan before anything, but I'm gonna tell you what, there's one player and that is Kirk Cousins. You know, I'm just out on Kirk. Like, that's the one player that I'm all the way out on for sure. You know, like, I want him. I'm ready to turn the page. Like, I feel like if it's time to turn the page, it's time to turn the page. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't got it, man, in my opinion. But let me see. Somebody had a question for you really quick. Let me see. Too Evil. He said, do you want us to trade away Hunter, Zadarius Smith, and Miss, he talked about Miss Cook, Dalvin Cook. Are you ready to move off of those players?
Not Hunter, no, because he showed that he could adapt to the 3-4. It took him about a month. And then he really got his legs underneath him and was one of the best defensive tackles in football. And he's 28? So I think he deserves one more contract with the Vikings. Finally, a big one. He's been on that Spielman team-friendly deal his whole career, it feels like. So, no, I'm not out on Hunter. Zadarius, I really didn't think would go this sour this soon. I always joke. It was a really Packer thing of him to all of a sudden just say, I'm done here. Yeah. And I feel like he will be traded because otherwise the kumbaya would have happened by now. That tweet was 4 weeks ago today that he said goodbye to everybody out of nowhere. So, and then nothing happened. And then Cook, I've really racked my brain for, about 2 months, because do we really think that the Moneyball general manager, the analytics guy, is going to keep $20 million worth of running backs when they only ran the ball the third least at all in the NFL last year? You only ran the ball, you threw it all over the place. And if you ran the ball the third least, but you're paying Dalvin Cook the 4th most per cap hit, something isn't right. So I expect Zadarius and Cook to be traded. I do think Cook has some good years left, but not at the $14.1 million cap hit. For the Vikings, I'm content hopefully getting a 4th, 5th for him. And then you'd roll with Chandler and Madison. And for the first time and probably forever, the Vikings would do the running back by committee thing.
Yeah, because usually, and that's the thing with Vikings too. Like, we're usually blessed with a good running back now. We we get us a good running back. You know, we go AP, and then we get Dalvin. Like, we keep us a good running back. You know, we had a couple of, maybe a season or two with the running back by committee when we had what year was that? Was that maybe
like when
18?
Dalvin was hurt?
Yeah, when Dalvin was hurt, and he got hurt early. Well, that was his rookie year.
Latavius and McKinnon. Yeah. That was when we went to the NFC Championship. That was Latavius and Jerick McKinnon. So yeah, that became a running back by committee, and then they also did it the year Adrian was suspended. What was that? 2014?
Yeah, and that's when we had what's the Hawaiian guy, right? We had
Asiata.
Asiata, that's right. Yeah, that's when we had. Yeah, I remember that too, man. But yeah, and look, I'm trying to tell you, man. My thing, Dustin, with Cook is like I love Cook. You feel me? Like, I think Cook. It's like, to me, I'm just big on keeping good football players. Now, if it's the money, it's the money. Where if he's not willing to take a team friendly type deal, then it is what it is. And I know you got to make a business decision because that's what it is. But I mean, shit, man, Dalvin Cook, getting rid of Dalvin Cook, man, that's a big hit to your running game. Although we don't run the ball as much, it's still yet. I just think it will take a hit, though. You know, you're not just gonna. I mean, there's a possibility, but there's a possibility we can win the Super Bowl next year too. But I just feel like Dalvin Cook, man, this guy changes the game. And last season, it showed. Like he won a couple games like at least open the doors, like, or slam the doors on the opposing team. He did it in Miami because I was at that game. Buffalo, he had a play where he pretty much gave us the momentum. The Colts, I mean, there was games, the one-handed catch against the Commanders in the back of the end zone. So I mean, I just say, how are you going to replace that? You know, can you replace that production with Alexander Mattison? And I like Alexander Mattison, don't get me wrong, but I just think the running game is going to take a hit, though, and we have to accept that fact. Unless we get Bijan, like you said, in the draft, which I don't see us going running back in the first round.
Yeah, he was out of nowhere. It felt like Cook became a home run hitter for like these Adrian-esque touchdowns of 70 plus yards. And so what I said about him being traded is certainly not my endorsement of get the hell rid of him. I'm sick of him. It's that I don't envision the Vikings keeping him at that $14.1 million cap hit. And I doubt he's going to just take a pay cut, because why would you? He still has earning power. So I think the most likely outcome is that he's traded to a team like the Falcons, who have the money for him and a roster space, let's face it. But no, I'm not pounding the table to get rid of him. I just think it's the most realistic option.
I look at running backs too right now, like even like Ezekiel Elliott's and these running backs. Like I think Cook's gonna have to realize here in the next couple of weeks, like, bro, you're not finna get paid what you think you're about to get paid. I just think the market is what it is, and like I don't see. I mean, unless a team is gonna say, hey, we're gonna run the offense through you, Dalvin Cook, like you're gonna be, you know, you are the offense. Which I guess Atlanta, you can make a case for that, you know, being that they're gonna start Desmond Ridder and they still have some young receivers and stuff like that. But I mean, to me, I feel like he might as well just go ahead and negotiate, man. Keep him and Madison together. You made enough money, man. Go ahead, you know, make something happen and stay in the purple, man. Because his leadership too, and I always talk about him as far as like some things you just can't pay for, you know, like for real. And he's one of those type players where I want to see him win in purple if we can, you know. But I know there is a bunch of people that are done with him, I guess, but not me, man. I'm not one of those guys, man. I love Cook.
Done with Kirk, but not with Dalvin.
Yeah, man. I'm done with Kirk, but not Dalvin, man. I love Dalvin, man. I just think Dalvin, man, like I think that boy plays his heart out, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he does.
Plays his heart out, man. Although he gets hurt, man, and stuff like that, man, he plays his heart out, you know?
He actually, we use that narrative a lot, and it was true for the first 2 years, but from 2019 on, he's one of the healthier running backs in the league. We just don't ever say it out loud.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, shit, you put me on point, you know, because we're so used to hearing about him getting hurt, like thinking that he's always hurt. I think it's just stuck in our head.
Yeah. No, every running back gets hurt. It's just that Cook was missing chunks of both his rookie and sophomore year. But every running back, if you play fantasy football, you know that almost every single one of the good ones misses at least 2 or 3 games a year. And that's what Cook's been doing since about 2019. So ever since that injury label was put on him, he really hasn't been injury prone. He has some of that nagging stuff, which we find out later is a shoulder. But the dialogue that, oh, he's just going to get hurt, that was really a 2017 and 2018 thing.
Yeah. So you being a writer, Dustin, man, I know we got to touch on it. I know you had to write a hell of an article on this right here. And this is Lamar Jackson, right? When all the little hype came out. So tell us what's going on, man. How'd you feel about it when it first came out that we were a dark horse and all this good stuff? And then just let us know, like, do you think that would be a good move for the Vikings? Is it possible? Can we make it happen or what?
Yeah, so if we still employed Spielman and Zimmer, I would say probably not something those two gentlemen would do. It seems a little too splashy for their liking, but
Right.
when you have somebody as progressive as Kwesi, I think everything is on the table. So ultimately, no, I don't believe that Lamar is going to end up with the Vikings, but it's more realistic than it would have been 2 years ago. So here's the deal. When I first read that, I'm like, okay, I get it. We have a guy who's probably exiting the franchise in Cousins at this time next year. You can get Cook for a cheap price at 2 first-rounders for MVP from 2019. But where I get stuck on trying to understand it is you have to pay Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Christian Darrisaw, probably Danielle Hunter, and then, by the way, 47, 48 million to Lamar Jackson. It's like, folks, we got to have a defense here too. We can't just forget about that. So if our big beef with Kirk forever was that 35 million is too damn much, well, how are you going to just pay Lamar 48 million and then hope it goes okay? He's impacted the Ravens in the last 2 postseasons where they didn't even get there in 2021, and he had a down year because he was hurt. And then last year he didn't play because he was hurt. So I'm paranoid that if we were the team to try that, why would he all of a sudden be healthy for the Vikings when he wasn't healthy for the Ravens? But I love the idea of taking a swing at it, or that being your splash. If it was realistic and there was an appetite for it with Kevin O'Connell, we'd kind of go back to the run-first style that we hated with Zimmer, but I guess it's cooler if you have Lamar Jackson doing it. I think every Viking fan in their heart of hearts would ultimately be really excited about it if it happened. It's just a little tricky to swallow when you have all the money going to Cousins, even the dead cap hit next year. By the way, 48 to 50 million to Lamar. And hey, baby, we're paying Jefferson his 30 million here pretty soon per year. The numbers feel like too many financial gymnastics for me to understand.
Yeah, man. To me, like when it came out, it's exciting. So the regular fans, we like me because I'm just a fan too. And I'm gonna tell you what, I'm like, go get them. I don't give a damn what you gotta do. You know what I mean? Like, go get them because only first thing I thought about was prime time, man. All the first thing I thought about was MVP. And I know for a fact, like I watch a lot of people's podcasts and stuff, and I know like everybody does their little top 10 quarterbacks going into the season and stuff like that. And I'm gonna tell you what, Lamar was at the top of a lot of them. You know what I mean? Just because he is who he is. So it's like shit. Why not? That's like when you got a quarterback like that becomes available. I think you should pick up the phone. Whether you can make it happen or not, I mean that's another thing with the money.
The coolest part about it is. If you can get over the fear that I would have about a running quarterback getting hurt, if they did make the trade, the Viking, if he's healthy, the Vikings would be guaranteed to be good. Like there's no other way around it. Like they would be in the mix. What is he, 26? They would be in the mix for at least the next 5 years, Super Bowl contenders. You just have to say your prayers at night that he didn't get hurt. But that's the most electrifying part of it. At a very premium price, the Minnesota Vikings for the next 5 years would be absolutely shoo-ins to be Super Bowl contenders, not just fringe nibblers of 9-8 every once in a while. I'm talking about real deal Super Bowl contenders.
That was your shot at Kirk Cousins, man. Tell us the truth. That was a shot at Kirk Cousins.
That's a shot at the wins and losses from the Kirk Cousins era.
Yeah, for sure. Because, look, I mean, it is what it is. We went to the NFC Championship game, and then we got Kirk, and then we never sniffed that thing damn near again. You know what I mean? And it's like, that math is not adding up. You know what I mean? Especially when you brought him in to supposedly get you over the hump. And I know a lot of the Kirk stands, they make all these excuses. Well, this and well, that. I'm not trying to hear it. I'm really not. No, like it is what it is, man. Go win the football game. So, and that's the thing. Like, how do you feel about that 4th and 8? Real quick, man. Because look, to me, listen, we've been doing it all year. You've been coming back. Everybody's been boosting you up. The ball was in your hands. Now, the defense did not play a good game. We understand that. But yet, you still had the ball in your hands down by 1 possession, just like you've been the whole other 13 games you win, pretty much. You won this season. So, like, what was the difference? I mean, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, you and I are going to differ here because of course, it was it was a terrible way to end a really fun season. But even in the moment, I remember thinking like, God, that was his only option. And then when I rewatched it, he had the pressure on him. And then even about 2 weeks ago, he was on somebody's show, and
Yeah.
he said he should have just taken the sack, because
Yeah.
then it wouldn't have been savaged afterward. It would have been like, oh, that sucks, he got sacked, game over. But because the best option for him was to throw it to Hawkinson, hoping Hawkinson would make a play, it looked like Kirk didn't understand that it was 4th and 8. So I think the optics were awful for him. I guess if I could have it my way, well, of course everybody would just want him to fling it up and hope for the best for Jefferson. But I'm probably going to differ from your viewers here. I don't think there was much more he could have done when Dexter Lawrence was about to murder him. So yeah, the drive home for me from US Bank Stadium to Sioux Falls, South Dakota was very long, and it wasn't fun. But that one, I'm like, I don't know what you expected more of him to do.
Really? So I mean, when I went back and watched the play a couple times, like recently, like 2 weeks ago, and to me, like, he didn't take his eyes off of TJ Hawkinson. That's the thing that bothers me. Like, he dropped back and kept his eyes on TJ Hawkinson from beginning to end. That's at least that's what I saw. You know what I mean? Maybe his eyes in his helmet were kind of maybe rolling around, but to me, I'm like, yo, you did it in Buffalo, right? You should have threw the ball. I don't care if JJ. I would have rather that, because if that would have happened and he got picked off or something, that we could live with, and we probably wouldn't be having these type of conversations we're having now. We would still be saying, hey, he hasn't won and stuff like that, but wouldn't be as bad, because he has that narrative of being Mr. Checkdown. You know, that was his nickname, Checkdown Charlie, before this game anyways, you know, for a long time, for at least 2 years. And then that's what you do. Like, that's how you end the season, like this great season where we're winning 13 games, and you know, we seem like, hey, maybe some magic can happen this year, and that's how you end it on 4th in your season, and you check it down. Now, I mean, I understand where you're coming from too. If that was the best thing, that was the best thing. But to me, I feel like there's always another option, man. You should have threw it up to JJ.
Well, I think everybody now wishes he would have thrown up for JJ, but the difference between the catch on 4th and 18 in Buffalo and then the one against the 4th and 8 was, in my opinion, I don't recall the 4th and 18 Cousins under siege, about ready to be sacked. I felt like, and I still can't believe he caught that 4th and 18 thing.
I know, that was crazy.
I think the difference for me, and as always, I could be wrong, was that the interior guts of the Giants line was coming in, and I don't know. You probably had to be in his shoes to know for sure if he forgot about Jefferson, or if it was a poor decision to leak it underneath to TJ.
Yeah, but it is what it is, man. It's spilt milk. We can't cry over it. You know, we got to move on and see what he does. You could see the chat, like, we just go in on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did see something about JJ saying he wish he had a chance. Like, there's not even just that game though. There's a couple games where JJ's frustrated with not getting the ball. You know, and that can be also not just towards Kirk. Like, that could be towards play calling too, where he's like, yo, like, just tell Kirk to throw me the damn ball, you know, even if I'm triple covered. Because I'm a firm believer, man, like, JJ always open. You know what I mean? I'm just keeping he's always open, because you got a chance of getting a pass interference. Like, he's that good, man. Throw him the damn ball. You know what I mean? Like, for real, throw him the ball. You know, and when you do, good things happen. You know, I wish Kirk would just get that through his head. You know what I mean? But he had a good year though. He turned just JJ up this year, so I don't want to take that away from him. But do a little more, Kirko. For real. But yeah, man, so we talked about the draft and all that too, but I mean, are you going live for the draft? Y'all doing like a live show on your channel or something, or you just kind of sit back and you're just gonna write about it, or what?
No, I went there to Cleveland 2 years ago, and it was fun. It was a fun outing for my wife and I, but then I realized quickly that it really was just a fun vacation. It wasn't a time when I could work, because that was kind of the first thing we did after COVID. You know, it was spring of 2021. So last year I chose not to go to Vegas, and I just, you know, wrote from my house. And that's a much better way to cover a draft, is, you know, because it's quiet at your place. You can survey what the rest of the teams are doing. If you're in the crowd at the NFL draft, you hope that your cell service is working. And it really didn't in Cleveland. And then you don't figure out what trades are unless they're right on Twitter. You're trying to figure out who traded for what. So if you're an aspiring writer out there, it's a lot easier to cover the NFL draft from your couch or your laptop.
Yeah. Hey, that's some good news for the future writers out there now. Y'all, hey, if y'all want to be writers, man, tap in. Tap in with Dustin. He gonna get you right. You know what I mean? Like me, my handwriting ugly for one, so I know I ain't gonna be no writer. It ain't happening. You know what I mean? That's a fact. Although I know you can type, you type it in, but still, sometimes I write notes and I can't even read what I wrote after 10 minutes. Like I write like a doctor. I'm a true doctor when it comes to handwriting. I'm gonna keep it real. But like how you feel about free agency? What do you grade the Vikings free agency this far with the moves we made already?
Yeah, I did this on my website with the other writers. I gave it a B, flat out B. It had the room to grow to an A minus if they would have signed an extra cornerback,
Mhm.
CB, but they didn't. I like the Marcus Davenport thing because I don't know anybody that saw that one coming, mainly because we didn't know Za'Darius was going to cry and say that he wanted out. But the fact that Za'Darius might leave, and then you have Davenport for a year and 13 million. He's got the first round pedigree. He usually, he's got the freakish athleticism to be good. I know only had the half sack, and that's very disturbing for the Saints. But I'm glad it's somebody if it's not going to be Za'Darius. So I enjoyed that. The rest of it, Dean Lowry right in the middle of the line. It's like, yeah, okay. We never do anything very sexy at that spot. It's always Jonathan Bullard or Shamar Stephen or Sheldon Richardson, who was pretty decent. And then Byron Murphy by far was the most exciting because he's got an attitude. And he's the type of guy you could toss on the other team's WR1 and have a reasonable amount of faith that they can bring it back. I do not for the life of me understand why they just wouldn't sign Duke Shelley back for $1.3 million. I fully understand that he might have just had a good year and he could go back to being average. But at $1.3 million, you deserve to know. He wasn't asking for $5 million.
Hey, I said the fans could have did a GoFundMe for him, man.
Yeah.
We could have paid him.
Yeah, and now he's going to play for the Raiders, who, by the way, we play next year. So all that stuff about him hating the Bears and wanting to stick it to them, now he's going to want to hate us and stick it to us. So I don't understand why they let go of Dantzler, who signed with the Commanders. I don't understand if you had a skimpy cornerback depth chart, why you got rid of Patrick Peterson, you got rid of Dantzler, you got rid of Shelley, Sullivan's not coming back. Why they've only signed one cornerback, it really gives me anxiety that they haven't realized that this isn't enough. So I can't give them an A. And I also don't think it's a finished product because we don't have a CB2 unless they trust your guy Booth. I'm kidding. And then WR2, you could have had DJ Chark for $5 million. You could have explored Juju for $8 million. But it seems like they either really, really like Osborne, like some of these comments do, or they're going to draft Jordan Addison or trade for somebody like Courtland Sutton. So I don't love the fact that 3 weeks before the draft, we don't have a CB2, and we think that we kind of maybe have Osborne as WR2. I would love for all those things to be taken care of, and then the draft to be gravy.
Yeah, because right now, with the way it is, it's almost one of those things where it's like, we're probably going either wide receiver or cornerback. Like, because you gotta, I mean, like you said, Osborne, I did a video on it and I was like, maybe if he got more targets, but then I looked at it and I'm like, he got a good amount of targets though. He really did. Like he didn't get, he didn't get a more than the top wide receiver too, but he got some pretty good targets. And I think Thielen being there might have just shadowed it a little bit because just being Thielen, just name being Adam Thielen, although he lost a step, he just automatically was wide receiver too. And I don't like that about football sometimes. I feel like the best man should win, like regardless of what your name is. So, to me, if Thielen was falling off like that, they should have seen that in training camp and said, man, KJ, man, you wide receiver 2, hey Thielen, you have to be 3. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, that's just what we gotta do. Because that Colts game made me think a little different about KJ. Like, yo, if he can do that, you know what I mean? And I think we'd be all right with him. But I think we might have to get somebody who can spread the field, like just open the top a little more, man. I don't think KJ can do that good enough.
I think my beef with KJ, and it's not even a beef, it's an explanation as to why we're not universally sold on him as WR2, is he's a good receiver, but he doesn't do one single thing great. Usually a WR2 has one thing, whether it's route running, speed, deep balls, hands. There's one thing that they can really hang their hat on. And Osborne's just kind of like a 7 out of 10 at all of those things, except for he's clutch. That's a very overlooked thing about him. Panthers game in 2021. Who caught that one? It was Osborne.
I was
the
at that
Lions game last year.
for sure.
You were? Okay. Yeah, the Lions game last year. He had the sort of walk-off. He single-handedly kept the Vikings in the Colts game. So he has the clutch gene, and I'm not taking that away. But usually if you stare at a team that passes a lot like these Vikings did, if you stare at their depth chart and their WR2, it's like Chris Godwin or somebody who does one thing really, really good. And I think for Osborne, we're hoping that he takes a next step at age 26, 27, which maybe, I don't know. I don't know if he'll be the type of dude that we're like, oh man, this guy is just, we didn't even need anything else.
Yeah, another thing too, though, Dustin, is you know, I'm a firm believer. I always say this is I believe that, you know, Kwesi, they believe in their draft picks. I know everybody's heard me say that before. And Jalen Naylor, I see people talking about Jalen Naylor. Like, I think Jalen, maybe there's a possibility why they haven't signed a wide receiver. Maybe they feel like Jalen Naylor is ready to go this year. Like, hey, he was a rookie last year. There was just no room for him because of Thielen being on the team. And like, how you gonna bench Thielen? You know, like even if they knew that Thielen fell off, like in their heads, they're like, man, Thielen just don't got it no more. They're like, yo, we can't bench Thielen, bro. We're paying him all this money. The fans are it's gonna cost something. You know what I mean? People are gonna be wondering why. So, which again, I don't agree with that. I feel like the best man should win. Hey, look, if you felt Naylor is better, because when Naylor was getting that ball, it seems like he making some big plays. He seemed like he got a little something to him, you know. And we gotta give him more opportunities. Maybe he's somebody that can step in as wide receiver too, or do you think he don't really have that skill set from what you know about him, scouting him last year and stuff like
that? He does have that skill set, but it's the ceiling right now. So you certainly, unless I don't know anything about this at all, you certainly don't waltz into a season going, Speedy Naylor, that's our WR2 baby. He has to earn that. He has to earn that this summer and probably throughout the course of the regular season where you start to see. Because the two games where he looked pretty damn good against the Packers and the Bears didn't mean a damn thing. I mean, we always make fun of Cousins for being a garbage time king. Well, Naylor's touchdowns were really just garbage time. But you can't take that away from him because he still made the plays. So I think what you would do and what they might do is just slide into this year with Naylor as the WR3. And then if he takes the job from Osborne, so be it. But yeah, we have this. It's really a mystery that's going to start to crystallize in 3 weeks, whether or not the WR2 is a guy to be named later, like Jordan Addison or Zay Flowers, or if they really do love Osborne and Naylor, then it's like, oh, okay. And that would suggest that Hawkinson's probably going to get a Travis Kelce-like workload too.
Yeah. Do you usually like scout these wide receivers coming out of college? Like, are you kind of familiar with the ones that are?
Oh yeah, in? I have to. Yeah, I mean, I don't get into the weeds of like the fifth round or anything, but like the top 7, I try to watch the film and then read all the stuff that I can about their strengths and weaknesses. I think Jackson Smith and Jiba is probably the safest in terms of a sure thing. And the thing that might be a little bit different that will surprise people, I think, compared to Jefferson's draft or even last year's draft, is this draft, even though you know of Jackson Smith and Jiba, Addison, Zay Flowers, and who's the one other one I'm blanking on right now? I don't know that these guys are Quentin Johnson. I don't know that these guys are as good as the classes that we've grown accustomed to. I think we just assume that, all right, there's 4 wide receivers there. They're all going to fly off the board. I don't know if this group is better than Jefferson's class or even better than last year's class. And that could lead to some of them falling into round 2.
Yeah, for sure. Like everybody knows me, man. I love Tank Dell. I just think Tank Dell. Yeah. And people talk about his size, but I'm like, yo, all of these wide receivers in this draft class are damn near smaller. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bunch of littler guys in this draft class. Like, you got your Quentin Johnstons. And there's a couple that you could sprinkle out there that are maybe 6'2", you know what I mean? But most of them are more like slot type guys that I guess you can possibly put on the outside. Like, but this draft definitely give me slot vibes, you know, like a bunch of guys that are fast and shifty. Now I like Zay Flowers, but he's 5'10". He's a smaller receiver though. You know, he is a smaller receiver, just shifty. He reminds me of Diggs, like for real. When I watch him play on film, like he just reminds me of Diggs. Like I just think he's the same type of player to me. But I mean, I like Tank Dell though. I just think Tank Dell's one of those sleeper picks, man. I think this guy is so shifty, man. You gotta he's a gadget type player where you can take a chance on a guy like that, and most likely, as long as you're getting him the ball, he gonna make something happen eventually. Like he just seems like one of those, and he has punt return. Yeah, he has punt return. Under his resume too. So you kind of get a double whammy there, man. I like him in the second. If we trade back, I think he might fall to the third. I doubt it. I think people are liking him more and more as we get closer. But hey, take a shot on Tank. Well, so who's your favorite receiver in this draft?
Well, it's Jackson Smith and Jibo, and that's mainly because the recent pedigree of Ohio State wide receivers. It seems like they do something special there. And then next year at this time, we'll be saying the same thing about Marvin Harrison Jr. So it's probably a long shot that he falls to 23. But yeah, I Quentin Johnson, for some reason, kind of just seems like a fast guy to me. I'd find a way to get enthused if it's for him to the Vikings. But and then Addison, he's intriguing. I'm with you. I like Flowers, but I'd say low on Quentin Johnson and then high on JSN.
Yeah. I feel the same way with Quentin Johnston. For some reason, to me, I'm just not sold, man. I don't see how he's the number one receiver on a lot of people's boards and stuff. To me, it's absolutely not. And I know I'm not no expert. I know for sure I'm not no expert, but I know how to watch film and I know how to, I could tell you if a guy can ball. Not to say he can't play. I just think he's for his size, he catches with his body too much. He doesn't really use his size to me. And Steve Smith said it perfect too when he does his little podcast, man. I love his little podcast he does where he kind of evaluates these players. And he said the same thing. He's like, man, Quentin Johnston, he's like, man, it's just something about him I just can't figure out, man. You know what I mean? It's just something that's just not there, and I like him, but it's just something not there. For real, that's how I feel. Maybe, but you never know. Usually when people are talking like that, he comes in and winds up turning into the next Jerry Rice or something, but we'll see. And the Vikings pass on him, he's sitting on the board, and we pass on him, and then somebody else gets him, and he's the next best thing. Right? To me, I feel like we don't need a superstar receiver. We already got one. You know what I mean? We already got one. We just need somebody who can complement JJ. So I feel like we need a certain skill set at that position. We don't need to try to say, hey, we need to get another JJ that can put up 1,500 yards every season. No, we need somebody who can get JJ open more, who can help him, open the top on the defense, make the safeties have to shift over to, because a Hyatt, that's one reason I kind of like Hyatt, because he's super fast over the top. I think he would be perfect. So, and that's probably why a lot of us like DJ Chark, because that's what he's running 9 routes and stuff like that. I mean, that's what you want with JJ, you know what I mean, on the other side, because that's who the ball needs to go to. I mean, that's just simple. But yeah, man. I mean, so as far as defense goes, man, we'll just touch on this real quick because we going on an hour. I don't want to hold you too long, man. I'll just ask a couple more questions about this defense real quick, because the defensive line, right? So because I know there's a couple players I'm actually want to learn from you, not because I know you write and stuff. So there's a couple guys on the defensive line that I like. Let's just say Cansey's there, right? I know Cansey. If he's there at 23. Cause this is what we talked about earlier. Say you're at 23 and these type of players, these type of names are on the board. Cansey, these guys that are Trenton Simpson, I guess, is a linebacker coming out of Clemson, or you got what's that? Will McDonald? I think Will McDonald from so just say that type of name though, that type of caliber player that seems like they're gonna be able to come into the NFL and make an impact right away. Do you still trade back, and say, well, I mean, what would you do? Now, I know we can't answer for what Kwesi would do, but what would you do?
No, I would not trade back. The only reason I kept saying that is because of trying to predict, so your viewers know what to expect. No, last year I would have stayed put 100% for Kyle Hamilton. I actually would have had a party that Kyle Hamilton fell to you at 12 because he was such a sure thing as a safety. And then you look up 5 months later and surprise, surprise, he's the top safety according to Pro Football Focus in 2022. So no, if the best player available, Deshaun Robinson, especially if Cook is traded, staring you in the face at 23, I'd absolutely stay there and just draft the guy and, figure it out once you get to round 3, or even try to trade some stuff to get back into round 2 if you really like that part. But all of the names that you mentioned, there's a Cansey, Trenton Simpson, I really liked him when I started this offseason because the Vikings felt like they needed an off-ball linebacker. Then they signed Jordan Hicks, and it's like, is that really going to be the solution here, gentlemen? But with Brian Flores in charge, you kind of have to trust the process. I don't think he's just doing stuff to sabotage. But yeah, Brian Breesey's another interesting one. He's from Clemson too. And then I don't think they'll draft. They're really overdue to draft an edge rusher in the first round. They haven't done that in 2005. But I don't know that they would do it when they have Danielle Hunter, Darius Smith, and Marcus Davenport on the depth chart. So stranger things have happened, but I would tend to rule out an edge rusher in round one.
Yeah.
But I do like the others, especially if they're in love with Cansey or Breesey or Simpson, then yeah, certainly. But again, the stupid disclaimer that I'll give for the next 3 weeks is I expect them to trade back.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. I mean, if they trade, if this is my thing. If Cansey's there and we trade back, man, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm going live during the draft. I'm just gonna be mad, man. I'm gonna be like, yo, like, why? And we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if he's gonna be good. But I mean, from what we see with our eyes, the ones that watch film, like, this guy can play football, man. Like, he can play football at a high level. And I think it's like, yo, you got to take those chances on them people, man. You do, like, if they're there. People like that, there's certain people you just feel like you got to take those chances on.
Yeah.
Because my thing is this, I tell people all the time, that's when people say, well, we need a second round pick. Well, we got him. His name's TJ Hawkinson. You know what I mean? Like, and there ain't nobody in the second round that we going to get this year that's going to compete with TJ Hawkinson. I feel like that's going to be a tough, those some big shoes to fill. Like, it's like we can't forget what we got. Like, you know, it's like when you give somebody something and then they just, you know, an hour goes by and they forgot you just gave them something. Like, we got TJ Hawkinson, you know, look what we did. Look what he did last year. Now, he ain't get that 4th and 8. You know what I mean? But we ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah, there were so many times as soon like the week that he was traded. I think it was the Commanders game. There were so many times throughout the rest of the season that I said to myself, or even to my wife, I was like, what did we do before we had this guy? Like, in certain games when it felt like nothing worked, but then Hawkinson would be underneath open for, 3rd and 6, and he caught it. And he was such a season saver, especially when Thielen started to slow down or at least didn't produce like he usually did. Having him in the middle of the field and Cousins able to find him as a safety valve, I really think that his role could get even bigger, especially if they don't draft a WR2 early on, and he could be a total target hog. But yeah, he's our second rounder. I see in your comments a lot of people are complaining about a safety. Presumably that's Brian Branch. That guy is more of a hybrid, like a Flores type of guy.
Right.
So I'd caution if the pick is Brian Branch, they don't trade back, it's Brian Branch. I'd caution you before having a panic attack and saying another safety. We've already got Hitman and Scene. Branch can do both. He can be kind of a slot cornerback and a safety. And they've already told you to your faces that they like athletic hybrid defenders. That's why they drafted Asamoah. That's why they have Scene. That's why they got Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator. So I wouldn't get too flustered if it's Brian Branch as the pick and just say, oh, safeties, it's always safeties. I don't think you have to do that.
Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm guilty. I think that might have been last night. I'm guilty because I haven't watched Brian Branch or anything like that. So all I heard was safety, and I was like, yo, like, shit, bruh, like, yo. Because last year I liked Jalen Petrie. You know, that was my guy. I was like, yo, we could have got Jalen Petrie in the second round. Like, we could have stuck and picked, got a good player, still got a safety if you wanted him. If you did your scouting right, man, Jalen Petrie was right there, man. Jalen Petrie's a savage, but like me, it's like, yo, if we go safety 2 years in a row in the first round, though, although you said he's a hybrid, I mean, it would seem, I think a lot of people still are going to complain about it.
They will.
I would be okay. I'd be okay if you say he's a hybrid and you say he can play nickel too. Then I'll have to go watch him and see.
Yeah, you'll put on the film tonight or tomorrow, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. So I got to do that. That's somebody, because somebody else had him. Somebody else had him mocked to us too. One of my ECG, Dante, had him mocked to us, and then there was another wasn't there like a big time name that had him mocked to us?
Yeah. And the reason they're doing this is while Brian Flores was the head coach of the Dolphins, 3 of their first and second rounders were from the University of Alabama. So I think he likes that school. And they're not going to get Will Anderson. And so I think that Branch is a reasonably safe idea for the Vikings because let's face it, their secondary, besides Patrick Peterson and Duke Shelley, had a hard time last year. And I think that Branch could grow within a Flores system.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, man. Real quick, man. Let me give this guy like his little like 15 seconds of fame real quick, Dustin, man. I'm sorry,
Sure.
man. This is what we do here. You know what I mean? Sometimes, man, you just got guys and people like this is an Eagles fan, everybody. I know he wants everybody to see him, or so we gotta just let's give him his round of applause, man. You are just so scary and tough, man. In the comment section, talking about your lame Eagles and how y'all own us and all this, man. Listen, Wrench Gang, y'all already know, man. Tighten this boy up, man, for sure. He's a clown, and you're lucky we got company in the house tonight, so I really don't want to go off on you, but come back tomorrow or the day before when I'm just on the stream by myself, and I'll curse you out. You feel me? If that's what you want, that's what I'll do. But tonight we got company, so I'm going to keep it clean. You know what I'm saying? And shout out Minnesota Star in the building, man. Shout out Minnesota Star. You know what I'm saying? But we got 43 people in the building. I hope y'all hitting the like button. I hope y'all going and subscribing to Dustin's channel if you haven't already. I'm sure most of y'all already know anyways, but if you haven't, y'all rock with me. Y'all got to go rock with the company too. So y'all make sure y'all go hit the subscribe button. We trying to grow everybody's channel, so we can just take over. Because the Vikings, man, we taking over, man. You know what? Hey, I mean, everybody might not feel like us, but our main mission statement is get Kirk out the door, and then after that, we can talk about what's next after that, But that's the first thing, though. That's first thing first at Triple P, Dustin, man. I don't know, man. That's just how we rock over here, man. We trying to get them out there. Shout out to 10 for the $10 super chat. Straight cash, homie. You already know, man. Hey, we gotta hit them with the Randy Moss. Appreciate you 10 times for sure. And I'll have the call-in line on tomorrow or something, man. Y'all can call in and pop it, But yeah, man, you got anything else you want to talk about, Dustin, man? We've been on an hour. I know if you want to let everybody know where to follow you exactly, because I don't want to get it wrong, and we'll go ahead and tap up out of here.
Yeah, Vikings territory. If you just go to any semblance of that website on Google or just type it in the URL, you'll see all the stuff that we write. And then Vikes Now, I record about 4 or 5 times a week on whatever topics, twisting in the wind for Minnesota. And then I do a podcast with Bryant McKinney, who played left tackle for the Vikings for 10 years. We record every Wednesday. And yeah, and I love coming on shows like your guys's, even the, I guess you'd call it anti-Kirk shows.
Oh, yeah.
So we can all have a kumbaya. And I'm super excited for this draft. I expect it to be a defensive back early. And man, the biggest thing to watch for is this quarterback decision, the QB decision, because it's going to tell you if they take somebody, it's going to guarantee life after Kirk is coming. And if they don't, that means that we're just going to kind of wait and figure it out when we get there. And
that would be crazy, though. That's crazy.
It would. All of this Viking stuff is coming to one big climax, and that's going to be, do Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell get the right guy after they say sayonara to Cousins? Because if it's a swing and miss, that's probably going to cost O'Connell his job. So everything you think about when it comes to Vikings football, it's really comes down to if they get the next quarterback pick right.
Yeah. I mean, look, we praying and hoping that they get the quarterback. Like we even like DTR over here at Triple P Family, man. We like DTR. Give us him in the 4th. Because the first interception Kirk throw, man, we calling for his job. DTR, put him in, coach. You know what I mean? Like for real, we going live. Put him in. First interception Kirk throw, man. We on him. We on his top. You know what I mean? But but on a serious note, though, listen, if y'all ever need somebody, listen, I'm unemployed, Dusty. Y'all ever need somebody over there? Nah, I got to get better at writing. You know what I mean? I ain't no writer.
Yeah.
You ever need somebody to just, pop it with, man, you let me know. You know what I mean? You let me know.
Awesome.
I need some of those Twitter followers you got, man. Share the wealth.
Yep. And then when you need a spot guest for anything Vikings or actually anything football or anything NBA, you hit me up. That's my specialty.
Facts, man. We'll get into it, man. Well, I appreciate you tonight, man. I definitely appreciate you taking the time out and coming on here, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, and I do it a lot. So usually I'm a lot more usually my squad knows, man. Usually I'm pulling up comments and letting them control the show. But tonight I just wanted to kind of get a feeling on how you're feeling about the season and stuff. But the next show, we'll kind of do more of just like
Okay.
how I usually
Rapid
do
fire.
it, where I'm just where it's just rapid fire. I hook the phone line up, man. We'll just get it popping in here, man. So it'll definitely be good, man. But hey, I had a great time tonight too, man, with you, man. So I appreciate it. And we'll talk soon, bro.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Peace out, everybody. Skull Vikes, baby.